Hello students, let's read the problem. And it says, the tables shown below represent two linear equations. Which system of equations do the tables represent? So I'm looking for systems of equations, right? So if you notice, I got two tables given to me, okay? So I am gonna use table number one to find the first equation. And as soon as I see the word equation, I'm already thinking about a slope and y-intercept. Is that right? So there's a couple of ways you can do the slope. On this case, for table one, I am going to choose to do change of the y over change of the x, okay? Which is rate of change. Is that right? So let me go ahead and write down the little line over here. So change of the y means I'm going to look at the table and I'm going to see if I can find a pattern, right? In other words, if I am at 2 and I want to get to a 5, what do I need to do? Add or subtract? I'm going to add 3. From 5 to 8, I still add 3. And from 8 to 11, I still add 8 plus 3 is 11. So my rate of change or my change of the y is going to be a 3. What about for the x? Well, to go from a 0 to a 1, I need to add a 1. And from 1, I add a 1 to get to the 2. From the 2, I add a 1 to get to the 3. So I can see the change of the x is 1. Therefore, my rate of change is 3 over 1, which is the same as 3. Therefore, the slope for the first one is 3. Are we good on that so far? Okay, so the next thing that I need to do is I need to find the y-intercept. And there's a couple of ways that I can do it. But I want you to pay attention to the table because I do see a 0 and a 2. This is a very important point because if x is 0, then guess what? Then this is your y-intercept. Okay? And if you haven't memorized that, let's try to memorize that today because this will save you quite a few steps. Okay? So I know my y-intercept is 2. So you know what? I have enough information to write my first equation. So we're going to write down the very first equation here. Okay? And of course, we're going to use my slope-intercept form. Okay? So I am going to replace only m, which is my slope, and I'm going to replace the y-intercept, which is actually a positive 2. Therefore, I write plus 2. Now, I do see that on the answer choices, if I want to really finish this one, I notice that x and y are together on the same side, and I don't see that on my problem, okay? So the first thing I need to do is I'm going to need to move that 3x to the left, okay? So I'm going to subtract 3x's on both sides. So my 3x's are going to cancel. And now I see negative 3x plus y equals 2. And if you look at that answer and the answer choices, you might think and say, well, I don't see anything like that. I see some 3x's, but are positives. How can I make mine be positive? One of the easiest things for us to do is just multiply by a negative 1. So who am I going to multiply by negative 1? Everything that you see in my equation. Everything. So negative 1 multiplies the negative 3x. Negative 1 will multiply the y. And negative 1 will multiply the positive 2. Okay? Every single term needs to be multiplied by negative 1. So negative 1 times a negative 3x gives me a positive 3x. Negative 1 times the y gives me a negative 1y. So I can just write down minus y. -1 times a +2 is a -2. So now you can look at the answer choices and see if you find anything that looks like that. Well, letter A kind of looks like that, but it has a what? A 7. So I know that cannot be right. Letter B has a plus y, and I don't have a plus y, I have a minus y. So this is not right. Letter C, I got 3x minus y equals -2. That looks very much like mine. So I think we're in good track over here. And the last one, letter D, do you see anything? I don't even see the 3x. So it looks like C is going to be my answer, but you know what? We can go ahead and do table number 2 and make sure that I get the same equation, that it's 2x plus y equals 7. Okay, so now let's work on table 2. Now, since we're practicing, on table 2, I'm not going to do rate of change. On table 2, we actually going to find the slope by using the formula for slope of a line. Okay, so it's just good for us to do both. In that way, you can get to practice. So I'm going to write down labels. So I'm going to start with the first one. This is x of 1, y of 1. This is x of 2, y of 2. Okay? So let's go ahead and substitute. Y of 2 is 5 minus 7. And the next will be 1 minus 0. What's 5 minus 7? Well, 5 minus 7 gives me a -2. And 1 minus 0 gives me a 1. I can rewrite it without the 1 from the denominator because it's not needed. So my slope is -2. So this is my slope for table number 2. Okay, are we good so far? Now, if you go back and do what we did on table number 1 about the y-intercept, I hope that you agree that 7 is going to be my y-intercept because x is 0. Is that right? But since we're practicing, we actually gonna do the whole process. Okay? And again, like I said, this is just for you guys to practice, so everything good. I am gonna choose 1 point from table number 2. So I'm gonna choose 2 and 3, where 2 is x and 3 is y. Let's replace the value. So y is 3, m it's -2. I am working with table number 2. So don't bring table number 1, okay? And x value is 2 plus b. Let's go ahead and work it out. -2 times 2 is a -4 plus b. I need to get rid of the -4 or -4, so I need to add 4 on both sides. When I do that, I cancel the 4, and I ended up with b equals 3 plus 4, it's 7. Isn't that the same 7 that I said earlier, guys? It is, right? Look, 0.07, there's my 7 right there. Okay, so please memorize that if x is 0, the y value will be your y-intercept. Okay, so we're getting closer to the answer. What I'm going to do next, now I need to write down my equation for the second one. And of course, we're going to use the slope-intercept form for that. Okay, so I am going to replace only m, which is -2, and b, which is 7. Since it's positive, I write a +7. I need to move x and y to be on the same side, so I will be moving the -2x's. So I am going to do +2x. Whatever you do on one side, you do it to the other side. So my 2x's cancels out, and I get a 7. On the left, I got the 2x's plus the y that was already there, and that equals to a 7. So we had agreed that looks like C was the answer. Do you see that answer on C? Yes, we do, right? This one is exactly what's here. 2x plus y equals 7. And of course, this is the one that we had seen before, and that's on that second one. So therefore, my answer is letter C.